Today's topic is the skill gap epidemic, how untrained workers are holding you back with my friend Cary Dittmann. How's it going, Cary?
Real well. Thanks, Joe.
So, Cary, please introduce yourself and your company and where you're calling from today.
Sure. My name's Cary Dittmann, and I'm the COO of FreightPath. I reside in the Chicago suburbs. Been with the company since its founding. I'm a co-founder, which is in 2024, beginning of 2024. We're an online e-learning company specializing in supply chain itself. Customers are both include teams, individuals, or enterprises as well.
Nice. And so I've talked to you guys before, and I've spent a lot of time with you at conferences. You guys specialize in the kind of training that you more or less can't get at a university or anywhere else because it's specific to the supply chain stuff that I don't think the universities are getting better and better, but I think that they're not quite there yet on like freight forwarding and all of the nuances and all the jargon that we have in our world.
There's just a few of those, Joe, right? I think we have 8,000 in our glossary alone on acronyms. But yeah, it's an interesting point. We haven't seen anything like it out there as far as the training that we offer, supply chain specific, and being more practical in content, right? So it's the nuts and bolts, cutting across really the global supply chain. So whether it's ocean or air, uh, surface transportation, ground transportation, you think of dangerous goods, you think of ecoterms, you think of geography. There's a lot of components. It's one of the largest business fields in the world. So it's quite ranging.
And you think about this, and this is true everywhere I talk. I talk to a lot of people, obviously, as a podcaster. The bar is going higher and higher. The shippers that we work with, I know you also work with shippers, but the shippers that most of the people listening, 60% are going to be logistics providers. The bar just gets higher and higher and higher. And we're being asked to do with less. And people are saying, yeah, use AI. Like, yeah, like it's a magic wand. I don't have enough good people, but I got AI. That's not the right answer. To take advantage of AI and all the other opportunities out there, you need a skilled workforce. And they could have just graduated from a supply chain program from one of these great universities that have these programs and might still not know what is expected at a freight forwarder or a freight brokerage or at a warehousing company.
Yeah. Sidebar point that I talked to a high executive up in one of these a big freight forwarder on the East Coast, and he just got done interviewing a couple of graduates from some respected schools on the supply chain side, and he said to me, he says, "Funny, you ask Cary about what do they learn? What do they know? It's more theoretical for the most part. When you start thinking about the practical content, um, they couldn't answer what was a TEU, or one gentleman said, Africa is a country. So it got a little, he just shook his head and was just trying to understand it, knowing that they just came out of a 4-year university. Not to put them down that way, but I'm just saying it's the practical
We're all
piece.
young and dumb. Now we're old and less dumb, hopefully. But getting back to it, like TEU, 20 equivalent unit, for anyone who's wondering, it refers to the size of the containers and the volume of the containers. But anyway, getting back to it, that's the nature of almost all of our education, unless you're in a very technical class at a company where they said we're being trained in this software. And I call what you guys do just in time training, meaning I need it now and I get it now, as opposed to, oh, Cary, you want to make a switch and work in supply chain? I recommend you go back to college for 4 years. You're like, no, I can't go back to college for 4 years. You need, and I think with the title we have here, companies are struggling with talent, and it's it's a problem, right now where the space is still a little slow, but that doesn't mean that, that you still don't have that challenge. It just means you're trying to do more with less. And when you're trying to do more with less, and you also have a team that, for whatever reason, hasn't gotten the experience and the knowledge that you want them to have, how are you gonna ever how are you ever gonna consistently meet your results?
Yeah. And you got to think about training, upskilling your own people, but also the new people that are coming into play. Right. So that's important.
So who's your customers?
So we have, and I mentioned earlier, it's, individuals. So we have a storefront as well. So individuals can buy courses one at a time. Um, and we also then serve companies, and companies could be freight forwarders, logistics companies. They could also be BCOs, the beneficial cargo owners, so shippers, um, that also have logistics and transportation needs, and they have individuals that manage the day to day for themselves. Some more than others, depending on if they have a forwarder that manages a lot of that, or maybe they do more on their own, and they really need the skill sets on the supply chain side. So that, and then enterprise, there are customers that are looking for a more customized solution. They want to address different levels within their organization. They want to create career paths within their organization to train people. Um, and so that's really our base of customers.
Yep. And, you know, it comes up on my podcast probably once a quarter, which is we're all trying to recruit, train, and retain the very best people. If you don't train people and they don't seem to progress in their career, you aren't going to retain them. And there are some times, I've seen the stats, not lately, but if somebody gets a job and they don't get trained and they don't ever feel like they got the right orientation, they're very likely to quit. Lack of orientation is a major reason people quit. And by the way, for the most part, none of us say, "Hey, welcome aboard. Here's your orientation." It's like, um, have Cary show you how to do that job. It's the on the job training begins, which is haphazard. And I guess we've all survived it, but there's a better way.